The Emperor of the Evora knelt on the blood-stained palace steps, his head bowed in defeat before the human general. Smoke from burning ships choked the once grand courtyard as the shattered remnants of the Evoran fleet drifted in orbit. "Have mercy, please," Emperor Indus begged, his voice cracking. "My people cannot endure more suffering." General Louis Bailey regarded the prostrate alien monarch coldly. He had seen the misery inflicted on the Everan commoners by their own elite, emaciated children scavenging in ruins, families huddled in makeshift hovels, an entire species crushed under the heel of privilege and greed. Bailey reached down and grasped Indus's hand, pulling the shocked emperor to his feet. The human soldiers tensed, weapons aimed at the alien dignitaries shifting uneasily behind their ruler. "We are not conquerors," Bailey declared, his amplified voice echoing across the courtyard. He pointed to the frightened Everan, poor peeking out from the rubble. "We have come to liberate your people from oppression. The power belongs to them, not you." Gasps of disbelief came from the assembled Everan elite. Some cried out in protest, but the human forces held firm. Aid workers moved to reassure the wary commoners, distributing food and medicine. Diplomats secured key installations, preventing any last-ditch resistance. General Bailey knew the battle was just beginning. Dismantling the Everan aristocracy would take time and care. One misstep could ignite an insurgency or galactic backlash. But looking out at the tired, hopeful faces of the aliens, he knew humanity had to prevail. The fate of the Everans, and perhaps the future of the galaxy itself, hung in the balance. The human liberators could not fail. As the human forces fanned out across the Everan capital, General Bailey turned to his senior staff. "Our work is just beginning," he said grimly. "We need to win the hearts and minds of the Everan people. Show them we're here to help, not to conquer." He pointed to a young officer with sharp, intelligent eyes. "Lieutenant Commander Thompson, I'm assigning you to the outer districts. Make contact with the locals, learn their needs and concerns. But be careful, many will still see us as invaders." Alex Thompson nodded, tenacity etched on his face. "Understood, sir. I'll do my best to build trust and rapport." Venturing into the warren of ramshackle dwellings that ringed the capital, Thompson was struck by the squalor and despair that hung over the place like a shroud. Emaciated children peered out from doorways, while haggard adults eyed him with a mix of fear and resentment. As he turned a corner, Thompson nearly collided with a young Everan female carrying a load of scrap metal. She stumbled, crying out as the jagged pieces sliced into her arms. "Easy, easy," Thompson said, reaching out to steady her. "Let me take a look at that." The female recoiled, eyes wide with distrust. "Leave me be, human," she spat. "Haven't your kind done enough?" Thompson held up his hands in a placating gesture. "I'm here to help, I promise. My name is Alex. What's yours?" She hesitated, then mumbled, "Zara, I need to get this scrap to the factory. They dock our pay if we're late." Thompson frowned. "You're hurt. At least let me patch you up first." Reaching into his med kit, he pulled out a tube of microbial wound sealant. Zara watched in amazement as he applied the high-tech salve to her cuts, the skin knitting together before her eyes. "There, that should do it," Thompson said with a smile. "Where I come from, nobody should have to work injured." Zara looked at her healed arms, then back at the human. I need to go," she stammered, hurrying off with her load. But Thompson's act of kindness did not go unnoticed. As he continued his rounds, more and more Everans approached him, cautiously at first, then with increasing boldness. They marveled at the human technologies that could purify water, power lights, and heal the sick. In the evenings, Thompson began holding impromptu classes, teaching the eager Everans about concepts like democracy, equality, and individual liberty. Many listened raptly, their eyes alight with a newfound sense of possibility. But not all were convinced. "Pretty words," sneered an old male with a mauled ear. "But you humans will abandon us like all the others. The Emperor is the only law we know." Back at the palace, Emperor Indus paced like a caged animal. "The people are forgetting their place," he snarled at Kavrok. "We must reassert control." The wily advisor shook his head. Patience, my lord. Let the humans have their moment. The more hope they spread, the more devastating it will be when we snatch it away. Indus subsided, but his eyes glinted with malice. What of this Thompson? The people flocked to him like moths to a flame. Cavrock smiled coldly. Every light casts a shadow, my lord. We have agents spreading discontent among the loyalists. When the time is right, they will deal with the human meddler and any who follow him. As tensions simmered in the capital, Thompson found himself spending more and more time with Zara. The young Everin had a sharp mind and a fierce desire to learn. She drank in his lessons on human history and culture, asking pointed questions that challenged his own assumptions. Your species hails from a single world, she mused one evening as they walked beside a murmuring canal. How did you overcome your tribal differences to form a united government? Thompson laughed ruefully. We haven't. Not completely. Earth still has its divisions and conflicts, but we're striving towards a common vision, a future where all humans can thrive, regardless of background or birthplace. Zara paused, gazing up at the unfamiliar constellations glimmering in the night sky. And what of us Everins? She asked softly. Do we have a place in your grand vision? Thompson turned to face her, his expression serious. Zara, this isn't about imposing human ways on your people. It's about giving you the tools to build your own future, one free from tyranny and oppression. He took her hand, feeling the slight tremble in her fingers. I know it's a daunting prospect. Change is always scary, but I believe in you and in the potential of your species. Zara searched his face, torn between doubt and a desperate, fragile hope. I want to believe you, Alex, but the Emperor's reach is long. There are many who still support him, who see you humans as a threat to our way of life. Thompson squeezed her hand reassuringly. I know. That's why we have to keep fighting, keep spreading the message of freedom and self-perseverance. It won't be easy, but I promise I'll be here with you, every step of the way. As they walked on through the night-shrouded city, Thompson felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. He knew that he and his fellow humans were treading a perilous path, one fraught with danger and uncertainty. But looking at Zara, seeing the glimmer of newfound purpose in her eyes, he knew that it was a path worth walking. The future of the Everins, and perhaps the fate of the galactic realm itself, depended on the choices they made in the coming days and weeks. The battle for hearts and minds had only just begun. General Bailey's fist clenched as he read the report on his datapad. His eyes narrowed, face hardened, inning. Cath Mines, he muttered. Captain Hawkins, assemble your team. We have a situation. In the briefing room, Bailey's grim expression silenced the chatter. Intelligence suggests a forced labor camp in the mountains. Thousands of Everins, including children, working in hellish conditions. Your mission, infiltrate, investigate, and if confirmed, shut it down. Hawkins nodded, his weathered face set with tenacity. We'll get it done, sir. As Hawkins's team geared up, Thompson was navigating the crowded streets of the Everin capital. The air hummed with tension, whispers of discontent growing louder each day. He found Zara in a makeshift classroom, teaching a group of wide-eyed Everin children about basic hygiene. Her face lit up when she saw him, but quickly fell as she noticed his expression. What's wrong? She asked, pulling him aside. Thompson lowered his voice. There are rumors of a secret prison camp. If it's true, it could change everything. Zara's eyes widened in horror. The Koth mines, she breathed. I thought they were just stories to scare children. In the remote mountains, Hawkins's team moved silently through dense foliage. The acrid stench of industrial runoff assaulted their nostrils as they crested a ridge. Below, a sprawling complex of crude buildings and deep pits scarred the landscape. My God, Hawkins whispered, lowering his binoculars. Skeletal figures in ragged clothes shuffled between work sites, overseen by armed guards. The crack of whips punctuated the air. Gamma team, secure the perimeter, Hawkins ordered. Delta, with me. We're going in. As they prepared to breach the camp, a distant rumble of engines caught their attention. A column of sleek vehicles approached, filled with weapons. Sir, his communications officer reported, They're claiming to be here to assist us. Orders from the capital. Hawkins's eyes narrowed. Like hell they are. All units, prepare for engagement. These prisoners are leaving with us. Inside the Imperial Palace, Emperor Indus paced frantically. How did they find out? He snarled at Kavrok. This will ruin everything. The advisor's face remained impassive. Fear not, my lord. Our forces will ensure no evidence remains. The humans will find nothing but an abandoned mine. Indus collapsed into his throne, hands shaking. And what of the prisoners? Kavrok's lip curled in a cold smile. Acceptable losses, my lord, for the good of the Empire. Back at the mines, chaos erupted. Hawkins's team moved swiftly, disabling guards and freeing prisoners. The newly arrived Loyalist forces opened fire, their energy weapons carving swaths of destruction. Get those people to the extraction point, Hawkins bellowed over the din of battle. He ducked behind a rusted piece of machinery as plasma bolts sizzled overhead. Despite being outnumbered, the humans' advanced armor and weapons gave them the edge. Prisoners streamed towards waiting dropships as Hawkins led a push deeper into the complex. In a hidden chamber far below, he found row after row of data crystals. Each one held damning evidence of the Empire's atrocities, bearing Indus's personal seal. Command, this is Hawkins, he reported, quickly copying the files. You're going to want to see this. As the last prisoners were evacuated, Hawkins's team rigged the facility with explosives. The mines that had claimed so many lives would never operate again. In the capital, events spiraled out of control. News of the Koth mines spread like wildfire, fanned by Thompson and the growing resistance. Crowds filled the streets, their angry chants echoing off ancient stone walls. Zara, Thompson called out, pushing through the throng. We need to go. Kavrok's people are rounding up dissidents. But he was too late. He watched in horror as black-clad security forces dragged Zara into an armored vehicle. Without hesitation, Thompson melted into the crowd, already formulating a rescue plan. As night fell over the Everin capital, the stage was set for a final confrontation. In his palace, Emperor Indus issued increasingly desperate orders. In hidden safe houses, Thompson and the resistance prepared for their boldest move yet. And high above, General Bailey's fleet stood ready, the fate of an entire civilization hanging in the balance. The capital erupted into chaos as news of the Koth mines' atrocity spread like wildfire. Thousands of Everins flooded the streets, their voices rising in a cacophony of anger and desperation. Thompson pushed through the surging crowds, his heart pounding as he searched for Zara. Down with Indus! The chant echoed off ancient stone walls, growing louder with each passing moment. Thompson caught glimpses of humans in the throng, but they held back, allowing the Everins to drive their own uprising. A deafening crack split the air. Thompson's blood ran cold as he realized what was happening. Kavrok's Loyalist forces had opened fire on the unarmed protesters. Screams of terror and agony replaced the chants of defiance. In the command center, General Bailey's face hardened as he watched the massacre unfold on multiple screens. Enough, he growled, hitting his fist on the console. Prepare the ultimatum. Bailey's voice boomed across the city, giving Emperor Indus 48 hours to surrender or face the full might of the human military. The ultimatum fell on deaf ears. As the deadline approached, Thompson crouched in a hidden bunker with a group of Everin rebels. Zara sat beside him, her face set with unwavering tenacity. What happens now? She whispered. Before Thompson could answer, the night sky erupted in a brilliant display of light and sound. Operation Firestorm had begun. Human dropships screamed overhead, deploying special forces with pinpoint precision. The palace defenses crumbled under the onslaught of stealth fighters and mechanized units. Thompson led his rebel squad through the chaos, neutralizing pockets of Loyalist resistance. Inside the palace, Captain Hawkins cornered a cowering Kavrok. The advisor's eyes darted frantically, searching for an escape. Talk, Hawkins growled, pressing his weapon against Kavrok's chest. Kavrok's lips quivered as he spilled his secrets. A doomsday weapon. Beneath the city, Indus will use it if he's cornered. Hawkins' voice crackled over the comm. Thompson, you copy? We've got a situation. Minutes later, Thompson and Zara led their team into the bowels of the city. The dark tunnels echoed with the sounds of distant fighting. They encountered scattered resistance, dispatching loyalists with ruthless efficiency. In a vast underground chamber, they found the weapon, a pulsing orb of energy that made the air crackle with latent power. Zara's eyes widened. One detonation could wipe out all life on the planet. As Thompson's team worked to disarm the device, a squad of fanatical loyalists burst into the chamber. A fierce firefight erupted, bullets ricocheting off ancient stone walls. Thompson dove for cover, returning fire as Zara coordinated their defense. With a final desperate push, they overcame the loyalists. Zara's hands flew over the weapon's controls, her brow furrowed in concentration. "Got it," she breathed as the orb's pulsing slowed and finally stopped. Above ground, the palace fell to Bailey's forces. Hawkins pursued the fleeing Emperor Indus, cornering him in his opulent throne room. Indus raved about Everin's superiority, his eyes wild with madness. "It's over," Hawkins said firmly. "Surrender now." With a primal scream, Indus lunged at Hawkins, a hidden blade glinting in his hand. A single shot rang out. The Emperor crumpled to the ground, his reign ending in a pool of his own blood. In the days that followed, the capital hummed with nervous energy. Emergency elections were hastily organized under UN supervision. Thompson watched as Avorans lined up to cast their votes, hope shining in their eyes for the first time in generations. Zara emerged from a polling station, a small smile playing on her lips. "It's done," she said, taking Thompson's hand. "But this is just the beginning, isn't it?" Thompson nodded, gazing out at the city skyline. The wounds of tyranny would take time to heal, but a new day was dawning for Evora. As the sun rose over the horizon, casting its warm light on the awakening city, he couldn't help but wonder what challenges and triumphs lay ahead in this brave new world. Thompson squeezed Zara's hand, a mix of emotions playing across his face. "You're right," he said softly. "This is just the beginning." In the weeks that followed, the capital buzzed with activity. UN peacekeepers patrolled the streets alongside newly trained Everin police forces. Construction crews worked tirelessly to repair damage from the uprising, while aid workers distributed much-needed supplies to the population. Zara found herself at the center of it all, elected to the Provisional Council in a landslide victory. She stood before a crowd in the plaza, her voice amplified by speakers. "Today, we take our first steps towards true self-governance," she declared, her eyes scanning the sea of faces. "We will build a society based on justice, equality, and opportunity for all Everins." As the crowd cheered, Thompson watched from the sidelines, a proud smile on his face. His comm unit buzzed, and he stepped away to answer it. "Thompson here," he said, his expression growing serious as he listened. "Understood. I'm on my way." He made his way through the winding streets to the Human Command Center, nodding to the guards as he entered. Inside, he found General Bailey hunched over a holographic display, his face grim. "What's the situation, sir?" Thompson asked, studying the map. Bailey pointed to a cluster of red indicators in a mountainous region. "We've got trouble. A group of Indus loyalists have holed up in an old imperial fortress. They're led by General Orcs." Thompson's eyes widened. "Orcs? I thought he was killed in the assault on the palace." "So did we," Bailey growled. "Turns out the bastard's tougher than we thought. He's rallying former imperial troops to his cause. They've already hit 2 of our outposts." A video feed flickered to life, showing the aftermath of an attack. Burning vehicles and bodies littered the ground. Thompson's face hardened as he took in the carnage. "What are your orders, sir?" he asked, straightening his back. Bailey's eyes met his. "I'm putting you in charge of human security operations, Thompson. Work with the Everin forces to root out these rebels. But tread carefully. We can't risk undermining the new government's authority." Thompson nodded, his mind already racing with plans. "I'll coordinate with Zara and the council. We'll need to—" An alarm blared, cutting him off. A young officer burst into the room, his face pale. "Sir, we've lost contact with Dr. Reyes's team. They were last seen near the rebel stronghold. Bailey swore under his breath. "Find them," he ordered Thompson. "Whatever it takes." As Thompson left the command center, his comm unit chimed. It was Zara, her voice tight with worry. "Alex, have you heard? There's been an attack on one of the northern settlements. They're saying it was Torex's men." "I'm on it," Thompson assured her. "We'll stop them, Zara, I promise." He ended the call, his steps quickening as he headed towards the landing pads. A storm was brewing on the horizon, both literally and figuratively. As Thompson climbed into a waiting dropship, he knew that the true test of Evora's newfound freedom was just beginning. The engines roared to life, and the ship lifted off, carrying Thompson towards an uncertain confrontation. The capital shrank behind him, its glittering spires a reminder of all they had fought for, and all they still stood to lose.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.